Welcome to this week's episode of Muslims Doing Things, a podcast about extraordinary Muslims and their career journeys. This is the first time in MDT history that we're doing an old guest who's been on the show before for a second time, but I'm really excited about this because this is my sister-in-law, Yasamine Durali. You can tell we're cozy, it's nighttime, we're hanging with the fam over the weekend. But I'm excited about this episode because a year ago, I brought Yasi on the show as somebody who's kind of decided she wanted to become a content creator. And she decided and actually laid the roadmap out for the journey between determining that's what she wanted to do and what she did to, at that point, have collected 50,000, I think, on TikTok at that point, and maybe 2,000 or 3,000 on Instagram. In between now and then, it's been a year, she has closer to 150K on TikTok.
Yeah, I would say combined
Across
platforms.
Well, what is it on TikTok? 140 or something?
I think 130.
How about Instagram?
15.
And you have a YouTube.
And I have a YouTube.
And you have management.
Yeah.
And you quit your job.
Yeah.
A
lot.
And you figured out you want to do marketing, so you don't plan. You're looking into marketing as a career, and you got hitched. Do you call him your husband or fiance?
Husband. We're married,
and you got Islamically married, but not white.
Yeah, no, it's
okay. Her husband. We're cool with it, but you're gonna do a white wedding.
White wedding. I don't know about a white wedding, more of a Persian wedding, but we did our marriage papers.
Okay, and she's married. Okay,
yeah,
for the record, she's married. So what I want to talk about now and today, and why I'm really excited to talk to Yasi, is that we are going to talk through community, what it's taken to build a community. She has a community of followers that are so, and I can usually tell who's engaged. They're so engaged because every time she posts me, people come running as if she's just announced the best things from sliced bread. It's a
you
very,
are the best things from sliced bread.
I'd say, but still, it's a really engaged community. So we're going to talk about community. We're going to talk about life changes and what it means in terms of creating content. Having a man in your life. What if he doesn't want to be in the public eye? Yeah. We're going to talk about the approaches to influencing. It's going to be really fun. So welcome, Yasi.
I'm so excited. Thank you for having me.
Yes, of course.
I had so many people reach out this time last year saying that the podcast was so much fun to listen to. So I hope that we can add value again. And I'm really excited.
I love that you refer to it as adding value, because whenever I record the pod, I see somebody's time is literally the most valuable thing that they can give me.
It is.
And especially if you you have a job or you're a parent or whatever it is, you're running, you could be doing so many things. So if you're listening to me ramble, you need to have learned something.
Yeah, I love podcasts as I learn so much from them, but now that I've listened to so many, I can tell what I don't like. I don't like when I'm just listening to someone's inside jokes or rambling. So I hope that we can actually provide value here.
And we talked about this. So me and Yasi, if you're not watching the video, we're right next to each other, so it's probably going to be a lot faster of a conversation because it's the first time I've done in person. But we talked about this, how when people know each other well, and because we've already done the typical script in the last episode of where were you born, what did you do, what did you study,
and they can watch that.
You can watch that part one. This could easily be super rambly, so we actually literally wrote out a structure of the things we want people to learn today. So what have you learned, Yasi, between when you were tinkering with social media a year ago and where you are today as somebody who arguably, if you wanted to do content creation as your income, you could not do anything else?
Yeah. I think I've learned that you have to really figure out what motivates you, and you need to have discipline because social media is constantly changing. There's always a new trend. There is so much that's up and down. If you're someone that's only motivated by your views or your likes or something that's a number, it's super fleeting, and you have to go into it with a genuine passion and a genuine drive of I know what I'm doing. I know I want to do this. I know I can add value to it in some way, and I'm in it for the long haul. You have to be committed. So I feel I learned the importance of still showing up on days when I didn't feel my best, or, not caring if one video didn't do as well, because that was never what motivated me. And I learned that, at the end of the day, I have a passion for what I do, and I think that shows. And I think when you're genuine, people can tell. And at the end of the day, community is what matters the most to me, because everything else is so up and down, but the people who know you for you and support you, and you can always add value to their life, you can inspire them, you can entertain them, they're the people who are going to stick with you over years. And that's what's going to set you apart from other people, is do they know who you are and your values and what you're adding to the table.
Okay, so we're going to spend time talking about community today. I love it. But before we do that, Yasi, for people who forgot about the first episode, which was a year ago, or folks who are hearing you for the first time, just tell us about yourself. Do you elevator pitch, 2-3 minutes. Yasi, where were you born? What did you study? What did you think you were gonna do? Where are you in life now?
Where am I in life? So I'm from SoCal. You married my brother. What is it? 7-8 years ago at this point. I was 16, so I feel like you've seen me through so many different life stages. But I graduated from UC Berkeley a year ago.
Really?
Yeah. Maybe a little bit over a year ago. Maybe a year and a half ago. And I went into college thinking I was going to study business because that's like what everyone told me my whole life I should do. And I studied it for 2 years, and then I had a whole epiphany of like, this wasn't fulfilling for me. I was so like bored by it. So I did like a couple internships throughout college, and I fell in love with like nonprofits and social justice work. And I was like, wow, like this is bringing me the why of my work. Like this is so interesting to me. So I changed my major. I ended up studying legal studies and human rights. I was like so dead set on going to law school, even though Layla tried to talk me out of it like 50 times. So she was like, you're way too creative to go in such a traditional
No offense to lawyers, but if you are
my husband's a lawyer, so there's less, you know what I mean?
If you're considering it and you're creative, call me.
Yeah, so I was just like super dead set on being a lawyer. I was like, you know, it's stable, it makes sense. Like I'm good at it. I'm passionate about it. And then,
but also pause. Your family. So you have a doctor. Your brother's in finance. You have a lawyer. Your mom's a lawyer. Your dad's a PhD manager. So there aren't creatives. They're all very intelligent. Mashallah, they've all done something.
Mashallah.
They're all Muslims doing things, but nobody's creative.
No, and I think
nobody's creative as a career is what I mean. But go ahead.
Yeah, and I think also for them, like their immigrant background, like they came here and they had to do that, you know, like,
of course,
like they went to school and that's how they provided for their family. So it's always been a no-brainer of like school.
Yeah, your mom got her, I need to have her on the show. She got her law degree at 40 with 4 kids.
Yeah, so when I was
as an immigrant.
When I was growing up, like she was always in like her night classes for law school. Like I always saw her like doing the hustle of like working and being a mom, and then also not just working but like going to school at the same time. So yeah, I wouldn't say anyone's like creative for a career, but I just had that mindset of like, okay, law school makes sense after I graduated college. And then COVID hit and I had so much like free time on my hands.
And you had 2 years of college at home.
I think I had a year and a half. I was like into my junior year of college, and I had been like making like makeup tutorials and like videos since I was like 11.
First year of COVID, I was here for 3 months for my second baby's mat leave.
Yeah.
And I decided in mat leave I was going to gain 100,000 TikTok followers, and I did it. That was like my thing. And you were watching me do that, and you've always been like, I should have made a YouTube.
Yeah, so I had been making like makeup tutorials and vlogs
since you were like 12.
And all that. Literally since I was like 11 or 12. Like I would have my mom's iPad and I would sit there and I would film so many makeup tutorials. I wasn't even good at makeup, but that wasn't the point. Like I was just so confident, and anytime my mom would take me to like a little gathering, I was like, "Get ready with me."
Oh, she shows us.
No, it was
your mom pulls out the videos.
Yeah, and I found out they did that the day after I got married, and I was like, "Why didn't anyone invite me to my watch party?"
We had the best time, guys. It's this hysterical music video. She's like,
12. Which one?
The
Temptation Arash.
Oh, maybe it was that. No, I think it was Susan Pound.
Oh yeah. With
anyways, if anybody wants that, it pays me a lot of money.
Oh please. No. Don't get any ideas. So yeah, I had like always been making these videos. I would get so excited. I felt like that was always my creative outlet, but I never knew like that's something that you could, you know, I never thought it was possible for me because everyone who I watched doing it growing up like didn't look like me, didn't have a family dynamic like me, like wasn't Muslim. So I felt like I didn't even have a role model in that way. And then COVID hit and I was like, you know what? I'm really bored. And Layla was like, you should just like start, like have a creative outlet, like just do it. You have time on your hands. And I just like I started making videos. It was honestly 100% for fun. Like I don't even know what I started out as. I think I tried to be like a health and fitness girl, and like that was not my.
Then you became a clean girl. You landed at clean girl for a while.
Yeah, I did. I was just like, that was my aesthetic for a while. I was figuring out what I liked and what I enjoyed creating, and then also it's like what you're naturally good at and what's exciting to you. And then I was still like working a corporate job. I worked a corporate job for like a year after I graduated. I was
which I don't know if your old bosses are listening, but that was another one. Before you took the job, I was like, Yasi, don't take it. And every day I was like, you need to quit.
Yeah.
Not because I don't want a corporate world, but it's not the job for her. And like you are creative. You will do great in marketing strategy, marketing,
branding. Like I think that's so interesting. So yeah, anyways, I was working another job that
this wasn't supposed to be an I told you so, but somehow we're 9 minutes in and I told you so.
Yeah, no, it's okay. I mean, I worked that job and it was my first job after college, and I learned what I needed to learn. It just wasn't the best fit for me, and I was juggling that with content creation, and you know, over time I just, you know, really put in the time and the energy, and I loved what I did. So I just like grew an audience. And then I would say, I think 2 or 3 months ago, I decided to quit my old job and I moved back home to California. I was in DC for a job, and so much has changed since then.
Oh my gosh.
I've signed with a management agency. I am like doing full-time content, and you know, like down the line, I would like love to work in marketing and be like a brand builder, have like my own brand one day. So I'm just kind of figuring it out, and I'm so lucky I have a community online that's like really here for the journey.
Yeah, and in the figuring it out, I think the figuring it out piece is actually very important because, okay, so this is where things get really interesting. Me and Yasi, in the family, both of us have built communities, but they're very different communities, right? So like we talk about this a lot, how like there's really two approaches to influencing. One, niching down like crazy, which is what I did. I focused on my core competency. I said, listen, like I built a company.
If you need to know how to interview, go to Layla's TikTok.
I've been through so many interviews. I've seen people who are good at it and people who are bad at it. And I'll literally get on TikTok as soon as an interview ends and I'll be like, guys, this person did the smartest thing. Or like, this person bombed it and let me tell you how you could fix that. Because honestly, it's an art form. It's a communication art form. And unless you've done it a lot or seen it a lot, it's really hard to do well. So I like niche down. And I was like, I've built a company. We've like, we're 130 people or something right now. Like I've learned a thing or two and I'm very generous with that information. So I've taken my core competency and I built a brand around my core competency. If I post a Dyson Airwrap, we were just talking about, like nobody would care. I mean, I work a job too, but whatever. You know, actually, I will do makeup. I'm gonna do Get Ready With Me because I think they're pretty good. Yeah, but yes, you're right. Like nobody would come running for my makeup. They'd be like, "Oh, okay, hold on." Like my makeup brand would be like fast, lazy, and looks really good, really fast.
That would be your vibe.
That's like my vibe. But anyways, the point is I niche down. My personal brand is really focused on my core competency. Whereas, and I kind of do a lot of the same stuff. You don't see me evolve. Like I've had 2 babies since I built an audience. They're not really a big part of my narrative unless I'm like carrying them while I'm giving career tips. Yasi's a personality creator. So Yasi hasn't developed.
I'm trying to be more of one.
You know, truly, like you haven't really developed your core competency yet, with all due respect. Not in a mean way. Like you're out of college. You've like had a job that wasn't meant for you and you were lukewarm about. You're like figuring out your next marketing job. But your persona drives content. Like anything she sells goes flying off the shelf. She's like, put rosemary oil in your hair, and all the girlies are like, oh my gosh, like I need to put rosemary oil in my, like literally, she actually sold out rosemary oil. Anyway, so this is like 2 very interesting distinctions, and I will say for anybody listening and in content or pursuing content or wanting to pursue content, the outcomes are very different too, and kind of like when I think of my platform, like I want to write a book one day. I don't know when, I don't know about what, but like I want to aggregate all this knowledge and write a book about this core competency I'm developing. Whereas Yasi is thinking like, okay, what do I want to do? Do I want to build a makeup brand? Do I want to represent? Right now, you're representing effectively other brands through your work. So when we talk about you being like a personality creator, and anybody who's listening now who hasn't made that differentiation, once you think about it, you're like, oh, you realize kind of the people you follow, where they fall and what you're kind of interested in as people who consume the content. But what do you think about your personality drives people, and what do you think you influence people to do?
That's a good question. I feel like what you were saying of like I'm still figuring it out is a big thing that's brought my community together, because I'm like 23. My audience is between like 18 and like 34, which those are like really key years in your life. Like that's a huge chunk of time where you're figuring out who you are, what your purpose is, what are you good at, who are the people that matter to you, like what direction is your life going in. And I feel like I have just tried to be really authentic with the fact that like I don't know what I'm doing either, and I'm still figuring it out, and I'm just sharing little things here and there that have helped me. And I feel like I talk a lot about like confidence on my page and like not caring about what other people think. And it's because, you know, there was one point where I was so insecure and I cared so much about what people thought, but you know, XYZ things helped me, and this is where I'm at today. And I know that someone, you know, someone who's watching that might be in those shoes and who needs kind of that like role model that's going to bring them out of their shell in that way. So I feel like, yeah, just trying to be confident, being really authentic, and also, you know, thinking about what makes me different and how can I, again, add value to people. Like, we're going to get into this more, but like a big thing I talk about is like my page is like beauty and fashion, all that stuff, but it's not just like just beauty and fashion. It's like modest fashion. It's finding pieces that, you know, complement you, that still fit within your values or within your belief system. So I just try and, you know, think of ideas that are unique to me and differentiate me, and not care too much about like, oh, the space is saturated, there's so many people, because I know that, you know, my personality, like no one else has my personality, no one else has the same vibe as me,
Yeah,
and that's
yeah.
what sets me apart.
No, it's funny you mentioned that because I'm like looking back to when I was young and the
Mhm.
people who I like admired. Who's that supermodel that everybody liked? Oh, she was
Adriana Lima.
No, this is before that. She's like literally. Is it Kate Moss?
I don't know.
Yeah,
I was not into. I wasn't
like,
into that era.
So Kate Moss. I'm just kind of giving an example of like somebody who influenced girls my age, and she's just like this super stick thin. You know,
I was
always
part
wear,
of
like,
the VS Angel era.
So like skinny jeans and the tank top, and we
Yeah.
like look at people like that and be like, okay, how can we like modify our totally different lifestyle to fit like this look, right? Like Avril
You're trying
Lavigne,
to fit within their
we're
bounds.
fit within it. Like Avril Lavigne, like I used to be. I'm still a skater. Yes, I'm a grown skater.
You're
I'm okay
such
with
a
that.
skater
But
girl.
like I used to. I'm so embarrassing. I used to like wear ties. I thought it was so cool, and I was so
ties.
Oh, totally. And like Avril Lavigne became a thing, and people were like,
Ties!
"You're like Avril." I'm so
stop like the flag ties.
I'm so glad this is.
Wait,
like,
I
film.
need to see those pics.
Like so many pics.
That's so iconic.
But I would like people would compare me to Avril, and I'm like, she's trying to be me. But the point is like I thought that was cool.
Yeah.
And I didn't really have the right framework to evaluate myself by. I had to create it, which was fine. That worked, but it's like harder, right? So effectively, what you're saying is you're creating another framework for women who are trying to balance their values, their style, their ambitions, and who might see themselves in you. And you're saying like you don't have to compromise it, right?
Yeah,
right. So okay, I love that.
I don't even know if that answered your question.
I did. No, I answered your question.
Good.
And speaking of embarrassment, you had asked your audience earlier about what they wanted to hear from you. And a lot of it was getting over embarrassment, getting over people judging you. I've been a 23-year-old girl, and at the core of my worries was people thinking I'm dumb, stupid, try too hard.
Yeah, what were you like when you were 23? I honestly didn't know you.
Yeah, no, I was very outgoing, life of the party.
Yeah, same.
I didn't sleep at 9 p.m. I slept like 2 a.m. all the time.
I'm not there yet.
No.
I'm like a grandma.
Yeah, no, it was a mess. But very hardworking.
Yeah.
I just discovered I loved architecture. I fell in love with it. But I was really like fun, but also like I think deep down, I wasn't the secure I am now. I was still kind of insecure.
I mean, that makes sense. As you age,
right?
It happens.
I was confident, but like I was like figuring. And I've talked about this publicly. I had a very different relationship with hijab. I always talk about it's a fluid relationship. I was kind of figuring out who do I want to be.
We've all been there,
right? And so like, I was a much younger, less developed version of myself, but a lot of the same. I don't think I've made any core changes in my personality. I've only become a better version of what I used to be.
And that's the dream. That's what everyone wants.
Right? Which like comes in. I'm happy for that.
Yeah.
So, to go back to the question,
embarrassment,
modesty, how do you get over people looking at you, and saying like, I don't want to put myself out there like that?
I've had a lot of people tell me that. I've had like even some of my closest friends tell me that.
Tell you what?
That, they want to start content creating, or they're just like scared to dress a certain way because they're afraid of what people think. They think people are going to judge them, or are you not?
And they probably will. Like people typically judge when they're reflecting an insecurity of themselves, right?
Like, I think that's the biggest lesson I think I've learned this year and just in life is that nothing really is about you.
It's never
when people
about you.
judge you, it's like if they judge you, if they leave a mean comment, if they are gossiping about you, it's like 99% a reflection of them and the state that they're at, and they're just projecting something on you. So, I mean, I feel like I actually had this conversation with you when I was like 17.
Oh, hey.
Yeah.
You had a lot of deep conversations.
So you told me something that was really interesting. You said you're going to have like different phases with your confidence in your friendships throughout you age. You're going to say like, you're going to have one at like 16, 17, one at like 21, 22, 23, and then one at like 24, 25, 26.
How are we tracking?
I think I'm definitely in stage 2.
Okay.
Yeah.
The accuracy.
But it's just like, it's just about finding, you were just saying that as you age, you're going to realize like no one cares as much as you do about yourself. The real ones, your friends, they're going to reveal themselves, and you probably won't be friends with the same people as you go through that phase, but that's okay. And that's like part of the journey. And like some people aren't meant to be in your life for more than a season, a year, a couple years, whatever. And that stuck with me. But yeah, I don't know. I feel like I used to care so much about what people thought of me. I was just such a people pleaser, and that's why I think for so many years I didn't start like posting online.
You know what's funny? Obviously, Muslims doing things is not a place for gossip, so I don't say who. But I actually remember that conversation, and there was a few people in your life I wanted out immediately.
Yeah,
So
and she was very clear about it. When I was like 16 or 17, she's like, they're not your friends. They're not your friends. They're not good for you. They don't actually really like you. There are people who can be your friends but might hate you, or they don't bring out the best in you.
Right, I actually remember that, so I'm glad that was good
in
advice.
Boston, remember?
Yeah, oh girl, yeah.
I was an intern when she
girl.
first started her
She was
company.
my intern.
And I was like
My
16.
systems.
I don't even think you guys were married yet. I think you guys had your kids and I was like literally sleeping on your floor.
You're sleeping on and put you on a bike. You used the bike to work with me.
Yeah, you really put me through the ringer, girl.
Did you expect anything else?
Kidding.
We're still there, hun. Still, we got to keep it on our toes here. So it to answer, like, it seems like really the answer to your question is at 23, 24, as probably some version of where you are now, which what you just stated is a better version of you at 16, but now maybe at 28 or 38.
Yeah.
You know?
No, 100%. And I feel like staying the same is scary to me. I don't want to be the same person.
You're like, with all due respect, you have like 2 years till your brain fully forms.
Yeah, exactly. So, we have work to do.
Yeah, but not in a bad way. It's not like there's obvious work, but like, yeah, of course, like it's all about evolution. You also are growth minded. You have a growth mindset.
Thank you.
So you're quick to take feedback and react to feedback. So to answer the question, it seems like, to recap, in terms of managing that confidence, realize that nobody cares as much as you do.
Yeah.
And if they really care, they probably just like something about themselves.
Yeah.
And they're projecting it on you.
And I think that's advice we all hear, but I think the harder work is like your environment and seeing how is that contributing to your identity and your confidence. Because when I was at my most insecure, I wasn't surrounded by a lot of Muslim friends.
Interesting.
I didn't have a lot of good core Muslim girlfriends. Like now I'm so grateful that I have like my sisters, you know what I mean? Like I have people who inspire me, who I like truly love and respect so much, and I am so okay becoming into like a version of them, you know what I mean?
I love that.
Like all of my friends, if they're listening to this, I love you, but like I love them all so much, and I'm so selective about who's in my life that I'm so fine becoming a version of them, because you know what they say, like you're your 5 closest friends. So I felt like the journey to becoming confident was also like shaving down who was my friend. Where was I going? What spaces was I putting myself in? Like what content was I consuming? It's like not just the people in your life physically, it's also the stuff you consume online.
That's such a good filter, because I'm going through my head the people who I hold closest to me, and it would be an honor. I actually think I attract them because they're better versions of me. That's
exactly. I feel like I'm friends with people who are so much better than me as people, and like, I like love them for
my
that.
Filter is like, would I keep my kid around you for a day and hope they learn something? And like, generally the answer is yes. Yeah, that's really interesting. No, so as you've also developed, so we talked about how you effectively are a personality creator at this point. So you've had to determine what your style is. You've had to determine how you want to present yourself, because you started very visually before you started talking over your videos.
I was so scared to talk for so long.
I know, I was too. That's why I started.
I don't know why.
It's embarrassing. It feels embarrassing. Back to LOL.
It feels embarrassing, but I
just fine.
See everyone else's content talking, and I've never once thought to myself, "Wow, that's so embarrassing."
I know.
That's how you know it's literally all in your head.
I know. But so you figured out, how did you land on your personal style? What is your personal style?
I feel like it's always changing. I feel like I love very like elegant looks. I like something that's timeless. Okay. I don't want to look back on a picture of myself and be like, why did I wear that? Like that was a bad decision.
Are you making a direct reference to my Avril Lavigne stage? Because I'm not.
No, but I'm glad. I have that. I had an ugly face. I know you're very cute. No, I'm not saying I wasn't cute, but like I feel like kids these days don't have those. It's humbling.
It's definitely humbling.
I was so in my like, I'm the cutest girl ever, and I wore like the cutest outfits, and I look back on those pictures and I'm like, wow, I know I didn't.
And you're wearing like a blazer at 11.
I was wearing bright.
Did you really not have friends?
I have friends, but they were fake friends.
Oh yeah, okay, that's easy to believe. So your style is you're changing.
Yeah,
I believe that because I've seen you change. And you got married. Your personality now, and we talked about this, how when you're a personality creator, your life almost becomes something your audience has to know about, because you're selling yourself. Selling is a terrible word. You're gonna hate it because you're Gen Z. Yeah, but as a millennial, it's the truth. Like you're, I'm very. You guys know I'm transactional. So you're building this image of yourself, and now you have this huge transition, and so people want to know, how did you navigate that? How did you ask your husband? I know you're super private about him, so I'm gonna say his name. But how do you ask Mustafa? Whether or not he wanted to be part of this? How did he respond to it? And how do you navigate that?
So we had been together before I had even started online.
Okay.
So it's not like he had signed up for a life to be online. And I think that's something important too. It's because, like, you know, some people are just a little bit more private and prefer their boundaries. And I was like, I totally respect that. I think there's also a misconception with, I saw a TikTok about this the other day. I don't remember the creator's name, but they were just saying how, like, there is this perception that you need to share every single thing on the internet to be relatable, to be authentic, to be a content creator. And I just have to disagree. Like, I feel like you can have boundaries with things, and I feel like it's only been hard for people who've shared too much and then they try and backtrack and then their audience feels entitled to that part of their life. But for me, like, I knew, like, okay, my husband's not super comfortable with being online. Like, he just doesn't like it. He thinks it's better for family and friends, and I totally respect that. And I was like, you know what? I'm honestly fine with keeping my romantic life separate because people don't need to always know everything on the internet. I think my generation likes to overshare a lot, and I personally like to keep some things that are the most special to me closest to me because, you know, when you invite people into your life, everyone's automatically going to have an opinion, and I was just not comfortable granting people access to that. And that's my boundary, and people respect your boundaries. And it's like, I'm never going to not share, you know, new things in my life. Like, I shared my like bridal content all the time. Like, I shared how it was such an exciting chapter and it was adjustment and all of that. But yeah, he's like the biggest part of my life, but that doesn't mean it needs to be online because not everything belongs on the internet.
Yeah.
And it's
I mean,
fine.
especially if they don't want it. This is like,
Yeah, exactly.
there's truly a consent factor when it comes to sharing your life
100%.
online
Yeah.
and sharing information.
Mm-hmm.
And as you kind of have navigated your first few months as a married woman, and you've evolved.
Dude, you know, it's been like 6 months.
Wait, what?
Yeah.
I still need to post your
Isn't that
pictures.
crazy?
I
was like, what the heck?
I've had this draft in my Instagram of your like.
You showed me that like 2 months ago. You're like, can I post this? I was like, yeah.
Can I just tell you how crazy it's been? I was just telling her. Yasi's a real one, by the way, guys, because there definitely wasn't going to be an episode tomorrow, but
let's record.
I've been wanting to have her on, and this week was crazy. I was in Boston on Monday. I came back from Boston on Tuesday. On Wednesday, I was at my desk. On Thursday, I was in trucks at 4 a.m.
I don't know how you do it.
Me neither, girl.
I was like, do you want to come to this holiday party with me? You're like, I kind of
I forgot about that.
Like, I have to be up with the client at 3 a.m. I was like, why?
But I went to the party. It was really fun.
You did.
Went to the party Thursday, and then Friday the kids had off, so I took the day off, and I took them to a farm, which was honestly the hardest day of the week. With all that, 3 kids.
It's a lot.
Hottie was at work, so. But the point is today I was like, Yasi, let's just do the episode, and she's a real one. She's like, let's do it.
Yeah.
So we were talking about how incorporating Mustafa on social media is a decision you have to make, and do you have? What would you do differently if you were to start today from when you really started this, let's say 2 years ago now?
Yeah. Do differently in terms of like relationship stuff?
No. That's
I was like, what do you regret?
I'm just kidding. No, social, in terms of becoming a content creator.
I mean, everything happens for a reason. It all panned out perfectly, but I feel like if I was, alhamdulillah, but I feel like I just probably wouldn't be so hard on myself. I probably would have started showing my personality much earlier on because I'm just now starting to get comfortable with that, and I felt like I was overthinking so much.
And you're such a Gemini. You're always like bring light to a room, and you're like,
yeah,
and people are gonna think it's hilarious.
You know, when I met my managers in person, because I had signed with them a few months before I could actually meet them, they're like, "Wait, like you actually look so funny. You have such a personality.
You don't bring funny into. Maybe you do your YouTube. You don't bring funny
because I don't know how. I'm like nervous.
You're like a clean girl. You're actually very.
I'm like nervous.
You're vibey, but you're more funny than you are vibey. That's not to say you're not vibey. Like, you're very funny. And
in my real life, I'm just like chaotic. But yeah, my manager's like, wait, like you don't really share that. No, I just get scared. So I feel like I need to take this advice to myself now. But I just feel like I overthought so much.
Yeah.
And I was like so scared to even talk in my videos or like share anything that required people like having access to me. And then I just realized the only thing it was doing was holding me back.
Yeah,
like thinking about what other people thought of me was just holding me back.
Yeah.
But that's the only thing I would change. Probably, you know.
I mean, you could still change it. It seems like you're still not bringing it
on. Yeah, I'm still not bringing it on.
YouTube, on YouTube you can. So let's talk about getting managed. Did you want to get managed? How did you find them? What were the questions you asked? Take us through that journey. And also, start us with this question. Why would one even become managed?
I think it brings a different level of like, this is granted if you have good management, because I know people have had bad experiences. I think it brings a different level of like stability to your life and to content creation. And also I knew for one, like I was learning as I went. Like I taught myself
Learning in
everything.
terms of how to get deals, how to close deals, how to read
all
contracts.
Contracts, getting campaigns. What are like the best practices of the campaigns? Like what's the norm? Like I taught myself,
LLCs.
all of that. I taught myself how to edit. I taught myself how to edit on every single platform. Like I didn't know anything. Like I literally just taught myself everything, and it came to a point where I was like, I really feel like I need a mentor. I need someone who like knows the law of the land and can help like teach me like beyond the surface level stuff that I taught myself. So it was like, I don't know, I felt like it was in the back of my mind, but I wasn't really searching for it. There was a few months where I was like super stressed out at work. I was like planning my like engagement events, and I was like not prioritizing social media, and I don't think I had like a single campaign in like 3 months, and I had like a pretty big audience, and I was like, I know something's like not right here.
Right.
Like I know there's a gap between, you know, what I can bring to the table and like what I can do, and just not having access to like those connections or like those brands, or, you know, getting my name on those lists and stuff. So there was like a piece of me that knew, okay, I need help. Like I knew that, but nothing really stuck with me. Like I didn't really like any of the agencies that had reached out, and I got approached by my agency now, and I'm like so lucky, alhamdulillah, because they're like seriously the best people ever. And I got so lucky with having people who I can not only like hang out with as friends and really trust them and take advice from them, but also who are incredible people as I navigate through the business. So yeah, I had like a few people reach out, and I didn't find them genuine. Like I didn't find them authentic. I thought they just wanted me for my numbers. And I was like, I don't like that vibe. It felt icky to me.
Yeah.
It was like
Transactional.
It felt super transactional. I was like, that's not what I'm here for. Like I don't want that. And then I had my current agency now reach out to me. I think it was in June, and we like had a couple calls, and I instantly felt like so comfortable with them. And we just had 2 calls, and then I signed with them, and since then it's been like the best. And I feel like it's just so helpful having people who, you know the law of the land. They have connections, they've been in the industry, they know how to navigate, they can give you advice when you're confused or you need help. And what I've learned too is that it's not a one-man's job.
Yeah, no,
it
it's a lot of
is
work.
so much more work than I feel like you think it is.
Yeah.
Even I was like, oh, it's not that much work, and then I'm like, I can't do that all myself.
Yeah. And do they so what has changed about your work since you introduced management? And I'll make a few assumptions. You probably don't have to review legal. I don't know if you have to negotiate comp. Like what do you do now?
I don't negotiate anything.
So if something comes into you, it just gets forwarded to your managers, and they handle it.
So I have a separate email address, and they do all of like the back end work. If I have like a brand that I really love, and I'm like, oh, I would love to work with them, they'll help me make it happen. And I only really sign off of the final product, like the offer.
Okay, so you just
and
have
then
to
I sign the
and you
contract.
create.
I like to review my contracts. I don't know, maybe that's just because I'm like extra picky and stuff, but
It's
I've never
usually a
had
good thing to do.
It's I don't want to get caught in anything, but they also review it all in advance, and they negotiate everything.
Yeah.
So
yeah,
that's it.
And so it gives you the opportunity to probably take on more work.
And focus on what actually is the fun part, which is
the creation.
creating engaging content, creating high quality content. Like I feel like I'm just so much more full in it now, because I don't have to spend time on all the nitty gritty back end stuff.
Yeah, no, it's a lot, and it's like it's
it's a lot.
I know
you try and do it a lot on your own, and you have
a
1,000,001 things, and it's
I let so many balls drop, and just so many
hard.
things sit in my inbox. It's actually crazy.
I don't even want to know how many emails are in your inbox.
Today I was going, because that's my personal email. First of all, I have a very hard rule when I'm in work hours for Y Systems. I do not touch anything that's outside of it. Like I'm very, very, very strict. You don't even see me like post stories in the middle of the day or anything unless I'm like at work and posting. So I put a really hard line. So this means I'm usually doing it weekends or nighttime. And if somebody's like kind of annoying, or I don't like the rate or whatever, I'll just like ignore them. Like, sorry, I can't do this.
Well, also I have noticed too that they don't really respect you as much. Like brands,
I'm sure
they don't respect you. They don't take you as legit, which sucks, because there's so many creators have so much to add value to the, they have so much to offer.
Right.
And a lot of times they're women of color, and they're not getting signed, and it's like such a shame.
Yeah.
It's not fair.
Yeah. Yeah, I mean, it's not there. We can go to a whole tangent about women of color and getting signed as women of color, being taken advantage of. Yeah, that's a whole other story. But it ends up reducing kind of the overhead for how to ultimately generate that revenue, which is not how you look at it. Again, you're Gen Z, but I'm transactional.
It really is not how I look at it, though.
It's not how you look at it, but at the end of the day, like,
but if it is your job, that's
this
important.
is your job right
It's
now.
like Yeah, it is my job.
I'm encouraging you to build other core competencies, sister to sister, and you're working on that. But I think this is a core competency that is worth building too, because you're building a platform, you're building an audience, you're learning how to communicate, you're learning how to communicate about the things that work for you, and if effectively you're selling your personality, your ability to make decisions, what you've decided on, and kind of how you live your life. And I think it's beautiful.
Thank you. I'm always trying to help people with my content. Like every week I'll go through my questions on my videos and be like, okay, well, I'm realizing a lot of people have questions about things that I thought, I had questions about when I was younger, like basic things. And I'm like, wait, there's a gap. Like these things I just think everyone knows, not everyone knows. And I'm like, that's a way to provide value as a content creator, is actually listen to my audience. Like, what do they need help with? What do they want to know? And then not just putting out random content for the sake of it.
I'm really excited about this part of the conversation because you just segued into community.
Yeah.
So I was hanging out with her. I was hanging out with this other really adorable Gen Z TikTok girl.
Who?
Your friend Adeline.
Yeah. Oh yeah, I love her.
Adeline. We were hanging out on
she's
at this, like, they took me to some influencer party. It's so funny because like I was there, she was there. Like I said, we have very different niches. And I was like, it totally did not. It was a very different type of influencer party.
Yeah. Have you ever been to one?
Yeah, I've been to one, but I don't know.
They're not the same vibe.
No, usually it's like, hey, can you come speak on a panel? Like that's my kind of influencer
party.
I mean,
that's the best.
Different influencer party. But anyways, the point that I'm making is you were talking about how her community will literally take a bullet.
They're so diehard.
So I went and looked at her page immediately after. I was like doing scrolling and I was trying
really?
to oh yeah, are you kidding me? I like saved a few videos. She has really good makeup tutorials.
She's the best.
Really cute girl. So I was paying attention. I was like, this is interesting. Because something that's been prioritized, especially with Gen Z, maybe millennials do it, but I don't know. I feel like we still have a little bit of an inaccessible, too cool vibe about us. Is millennials.
Yeah, Gen Z does not
Gen Z is accessible. Gen Z is accessible. And when you say I build community, what I hear is you grant access strategically. Again, you hate that. But what
we're not saying.
But in some ways we are. Just
You're
love this.
So funny.
So anyways,
I'm like, that's not how I thought about it, but okay.
You were just talking about how weekly you ask questions. Is that something? So the question I'm getting at is, what do you do to build community, and what works the best for you? And ultimately, building community is critical because if you think about content creation, everybody hates the word influencer now. It's become like a stinky
word. I
don't know why. It's
just own it.
They just say content creator, influencer, whatever. When you are helping people navigate life choices and purchases and figure out how to live their lives.
Like, why are you embarrassed about it though?
Yeah, you influence. So the question I'm asking you is, what are, and you like frameworks and you like routines. What are the different things that you do? 100%. I know this about you. What are the things that you do to build community and continue to build community in such a competitive landscape?
That's a great question. I'll start off by saying that I had listened to a podcast, I think 2 years ago, and I think I sent it to you. And the podcast is just talking about how staying out of something or not doing something because it's too saturated. There's other people already doing
the Alfred guy.
Yeah, Alfred guy. And then I also listened to a podcast with Ed Milet, and he was like, it's such a cop-out when people say that, because it's like, but not everyone's doing your version of it.
Right.
And there's, your content isn't supposed to be for everyone. That's why you follow multiple people.
Yeah, the Alfred guy was talking about, Alfred Coffee guy was talking about how, like, he came in and competed against Starbucks because he's like, nobody
Starbucks, Dunkin', like all these, the most saturated, market ever. And he found a way to differentiate himself and provide a unique value. Before coffee shops were so fast, like drive through Starbucks, whatever.
Right.
He made it an experience to go into a coffee shop, and it was cute. You could take pictures, you could lounge. It was a place people wanted to gather. It wasn't just like a random Starbucks.
Right.
So I felt like, wait, what was the question?
How do you build community? What framework do you use and what strategies?
That's a good question. So, for me, I love engaging with my audience. I respond to almost every DM. I really try my best to respond to everyone. And I, like, top of the week, I'll like to do like a Q&A poll.
So you do it weekly?
I do it weekly.
Do you ask the same question?
I'll just be like, let's chat, like, let's catch up. And it's like my favorite time of the week.
People are like, I just broke up, I just got married, I'm going to call. I'm like,
my community's
yours
all over the place.
Maybe I need to.
No, I don't know. That's what fulfills me. The relationships I get to build with people, even if they're online, is what fulfills me.
Let's pull this back to millennial, out of Gen Z. So we're talking strategies.
Yeah,
strategies. Not filling your cup, so strategies.
Okay, sorry. Okay, so I will do like a weekly or bi-weekly question box on Instagram. I feel like the people who follow me on Instagram have seen TikTok and want more.
And that's is that your primary driver to Instagram? Is your TikTok?
I would say so.
Okay.
Yeah, Instagram is such a hard platform these days that TikTok has really been the main thing that's brought people over. And TikTok is a little bit more curated. I'm working on getting it to be a little bit more casual, but Instagram's definitely more like daily updates. So I'll try and do like Q&A boxes each week and just be like, let's chat, like, how are you guys doing? Like, I'll just ask them like, what's up? Like, what's new in your life? Last week I asked like, share some good news. I was like feeling a little down. I just like needed like a pick me up. And I had so many people like, I'm getting married in 2 days. Like, I'm pregnant. I haven't told anyone. Or like, I just got a job or blah, blah, blah. Like, I did this. And it was like such a mood boost, and they get to share too.
Okay.
So engaging via like polls, Q&As. I also like to involve them if I'm making like a decision. I think that's fun. Not with anything like crazy, but like outfits. Like, I went to a Pakistani wedding a couple weeks ago, and that was like my first time actually like dressing in cultural Pakistani clothes for the wedding. And I was like, I don't know what to wear. Like, I have these options. Like, how do I accessorize it? And I posted like Instagram stories and a TikTok being like, which dress do I wear, guys? Like, how do I accessorize it? And I had so much help. People were being like, wear it with this, and sending me pictures of like, wear it with these earrings. I have something like this. Like, oh, I have these heels. Like, blah, blah, blah. I had some of my friends text me being like, dude, do you want me to like drop off these shoes? And it was just like a way to engage people. And like, I do that with dresses, like any type of like outfits, or like I even did that with my hairstyle the other day, being like, guys, I'm having a bad hair day. Do I do my hair in a blowout, or do I do a braid? So trying to engage with Instagram, definitely responding to people. I'll have people who ask more pointed questions in my Instagram. So they'll be like, my engagement party is coming up in a few weeks, and I'm looking for a dress that's modest but still cute. Do you have any ideas? And I'll spend some time curating a list for them, and I'll send it to them. So that's a way I feel like to be more of a person than just like a face online. TikTok, I just always try and respond to my comments if people ask me questions, and I think it's like, you know, it's something I can go in depth about. I'll try and make another video about it. And then YouTube is, I think YouTube is where I really get like the most in depth. Like, that's a platform that like I honestly, it's one of my favorites because I just get to be myself, and I just get to talk, and I can talk for like 5 minutes about something that I really love, or a question someone had, like hair tutorial, or like I've talked about, you know, staying true to yourself and being confident. Like, I talked about that for 5 minutes in a YouTube video, and it doesn't feel like I need to talk about it in a minute or 2 minutes to just like make people see it.
You could spend time.
I can spend time on it. So I try and like, if there's a topic that I know my audience really wants like advice on, or if there's like something that I want to talk about, I'll usually do like a shorter form video, and then I'll talk about it in depth on YouTube and like direct people to that so they can get that more like longer advice and stuff. Other than that, I think that's pretty much it. Like, just engaging with people, like responding to comments, like always providing opportunities for people to say things and keeping them updated. Like, I'm always on my Instagram story every single day, keeping people in the loop of like what's up with my life, like, and questions just come organically from that. Yeah.
And so you use your Instagram to ultimately engage with people, and then your YouTube is more of one-sided engagement. Actually, do you respond to YouTube comments?
I respond to YouTube comments, yeah. I try to.
Yeah. And what do you think that people trust you most about? Is it clothes? Is it skin? Is it hair?
I think it's a lot of things, because I don't think I pigeonholed myself too much in one corner, kind of intentionally, but also because I was like, I don't know, just one thing that I'm like the best at. Like, I feel like I'm always sharing tips for like glowy skin and like glowy makeup, and like whether that's like products I'm trying with makeup, or skincare products, or, you know, home remedies, like drinking these foods and adding this to your smoothies, your juices, like always kind of like trying to provide like hacks and like remedies for the look that I personally love, which is like the glow. So I would say people trust me with like makeup and product recommendations, like skincare. I've also been pretty open about like issues that I've had with like my skin or my body image or my makeup, and I'll be like, guys, like, you know, I was having a lot of acne, and it really tanked my self-esteem, and it left a lot of dark spots on my face, and I'm kind of sharing with my audience like how I'm going through that with, you know, the products that I'm trying, or the services or the treatments that I'm trying, or what's working or what's not really worth the hype, in my opinion. And, you know, I also have really sensitive skin, and I've been really open about that online. So I feel like a lot of my audience that also has sensitive skin like can trust me with that stuff, because they know I've tried so many products, and I've been honest about what hasn't worked for me. Like, there've been a lot of like random viral products on TikTok that have given me like rashes and like swollen eyes, so I feel like people trust me with that. And then also I would say like modest fashion. modest fashion, like finding pieces that are like unique, and not. I don't really shop from exclusively like Muslim brands or like modest brands, and it's not because I don't want to. Like I love them; they're great for like dresses
Right.
and stuff. Like it's so hard to find a long sleeve, long dress, but just because I feel like, you know, growing up, I didn't limit myself to stores like that. Also, they probably didn't really exist like when I was like a teenager, so I feel like my audience can come to me for like, I found this shirt on this website and this skirt here and this jacket here, and I put it all together, and
Right.
that's how it made a modest look.
Right.
Like finding pieces here and there that like make it a fun and unique look, but still
Right.
modest.
Yeah. You know, it's fascinating as I'm thinking about this, to go back to the concept of an influencer, you're just providing, not just might not be the right word. You are, when I say just, I mean to simplify it, you're providing inspiration for which girls who share your values can live their lives in ways that they think that they feel good about themselves. They feel good about their skin. They feel good about their image.
What
they
I
feel
want.
Good about their clothes.
Just confidence.
But it's really fascinating because like I look back to Layla, 23-year-old Layla, and like I just had to figure that out myself.
Yeah,
like
I had to too.
You know? Yeah, we just had to figure it out ourselves. Like, and I always knew I looked a little funny.
Yeah.
You know, in terms of
you probably did. You didn't figure it out yet. You know,
always knew I looked a little funny, but I kind of just ran with it anyway. Because like put on my big girl pants and looked confident. So
if you're not happy with yourself, and if you don't love yourself, and you're not confident in yourself, who's gonna do that for you?
Girl, and I will never forget when I was like 18. I went to a wedding. I think I was wearing 4 layers, and the wedding was on a boat.
It's okay. I wore a fur coat in Palm Springs. So it was like 100 degrees. I didn't care. That fit looked good.
That fit looked so good. You were glowing.
Yo, I didn't care. People were like, you're wearing a bird.
Gonna have heat stroke, but you look great. Those pictures are great. But I was thinking about this because, like, I remember at that wedding, I was looking at all these girls, and I'm like, they look so good, and I literally look like an Eskimo. I was like, this sucks.
You can't say that.
No, I was like, oh, I'm sorry, Gen Z. I'm sorry. I don't mean that. Eskimos are beautiful, but the point that I'm making is that Eskimos are in a climate that requires that much clothing. When you're on a yacht, you're not in a climate that requires that much clothing. Okay, that's the only point I'm making. Please don't cancel me. So, anyways, don't cancel Yasi either. She made that's inappropriate.
Yeah.
No, I love Eskimo culture. I think it's beautiful.
Okay, babe.
So the point is I was like, I'm wearing way too many layers for somebody on a boat. I look ridiculous.
So hard.
Now there's options. Like Itiage's brand's incredibly well. There's so many great options now.
So many good options.
But
the old collection too.
People have options now. But it's definitely a different time. But the need for influences, I mean, you influenced me. She put this outfit on me. I was like, what do I wear?
You can have it. It looks really good.
Thanks, yeah. So that's interesting. I love that we have the opportunity to do a second version. We're doing like a pre-Thanksgiving dinner, and I just heard like 50 texts come in, guys. So I have a feeling we're being like yelled at to come downstairs because it's 7:01 p.m.
Yeah.
But I guess before we end, I want 2 things from you. One, it's somebody's first time hearing this, or maybe they heard you a year ago and they didn't start and they're like, dang, like she grew so much in a year. What could I have done? What are the steps you would recommend? And 2, where can people find you?
Oh, that's a good question. So I feel like you just need to start.
What does that mean? Like
just start
TikTok?
posting.
Would you start on TikTok again?
I would start on TikTok right now. I think it's the best algorithm. I think that's gonna get you. It's gonna be the most efficient way.
Okay.
Start posting. Use your phone. Use good lighting. Just even if it's not the perfect edited video, like even if you don't love it, just get it out there. Because I think I was actually listening to another podcast saying perfectionism is literally such a cop out because you're holding yourself to such a standard that you're never gonna match up to. So you're constantly setting yourself up for failure. So like, don't try and be perfect. Just post it. Be yourself. I know it sounds really corny, but like nothing is more annoying than someone who just copies everyone else's videos. Like just be yourself. Everyone has something unique to offer. It just takes time to figure it out what that is for you.
And you have to test. I remember I started like mom content and I was like, this sucks, but I'm gonna try it anyways.
Dude,
it wasn't very
doing
good.
Like health and fitness thing.
Right.
I'm like, that's not.
And then I was like,
wait,
I'm really good at work, and I just started talking about it, and it just worked.
But you had to start.
Oh my gosh,
you had to start
I was
with
like
random mommy content,
doing the dumb TikTok dances, like boom. Oh.
TikTok was such a different phase then. I honestly sometimes miss it, like the
COVID TikTok.
Anyways, dancing. You just have to start. Like you're not going to be perfect in the beginning. You need to accept it because no one's ever going to be perfect, and also because you probably don't know what you have unique to offer just yet. Because it's hard to put that on social media. It's hard to figure out like, well, I am this person. I have these interests. Like, what's the one thing I'm going to talk about? You know what I mean? So just make your videos, get it out there, I would say look at what some of the people that you like love their content, or you love, say you've loved following an influencer for years. Like, try and think about what it is about them. Like, is it their style? Is it their Instagram stories?
Are they just super genuine and vulnerable?
Are they really genuine and vulnerable? Like, are you inspired by them, or are you getting like constant like tips from them? Or are they always sharing something unique? Or
because they say educate, entertain, or inspire are the three ways you can go.
Yeah, like what is it? Is it someone? And there are people who will play around different parts of their life and they'll be super open and sharing about it. Is it because you were going through a really crappy breakup and that person also had gone through a really crappy breakup and they were documenting their phase of finding themselves again, and that's what resonated with you? Like, figure out like what you like seeing in other people, and think about, how are you to your friends? How are you to people in your life? Like, what are you doing for them? Are you really good at giving advice in real life? Maybe that's something you can do online. You know what I mean? Like, are you someone who like makes your own clothes and like you sell it, or like you've always been good at sewing?
Show that journey.
Show the journey. You don't have to be perfect. Like, everyone has a unique skill and everyone has something that's like so beautiful to them, and it's just a matter of time before you find out what it is for yourself. And there's always going to be people that are going to find their way to you.
Yeah.
And that if you really try,
and it takes time.
It takes time. If you really try, you're authentic and you're consistent, like, your people will find you. You just can't be motivated by like numbers at first, because it's so fleeting.
The numbers. Actually, that's really good advice, because effectively that's what I did. And so
like,
but
that
works
for you. I feel like you're kind of that type of person though, like that you're very driven by strategy and by like results and stuff.
And I don't get embarrassed easily.
No, you don't. Like, you're super confident. So it's like, I don't know. I feel like for someone who's just starting, maybe they're super new to social media in the first place, it can be intimidating. Like, you just need to start. You know
what's funny? Actually, some of the most mind-blowing advice I got recently was from somebody who is a coach to me. She's incredible. And she said, you're very fearless. I said, okay, yeah. She says, and you don't get scared.
Remember when you thought I was fearless?
I still think you're fearless.
I'm so not fearless.
100%. We'll talk about that at dinner. 100%. The ocean doesn't. There's sharks in there. That's logic. Anyways, so I was talking to somebody, and she said somebody had recently asked me.
Yeah.
I see a lot of leaders. What leaders do you know who are totally will just roll up their sleeves and do it regardless of the problem? She said, I can only think of two people, the thousands of people that I've career coached, and you are one of them. And I was like, oh, that's like really cool. I'm so honored. She's like, yeah, but it also means you are not relatable. I was like, whoa! That blew my mind.
Because no one wants to talk to a salesperson. No one wants to talk to a robot.
But I also
want to be a best friend.
It's not even that. It's not even, I don't even show, like, when I'm scared or I don't think I could do it, I suck it up and I do it. And nobody knows that I'm scared or I don't think I could do it. I'm like, I'll figure it out. So it's always been something that I've just been like, throw it out.
You're such a problem
tactical.
solver.
I'm very tactical.
Yeah.
So she was like, it's a really great quality. It's probably one of your best, but you struggle being relatable. So you need to think about. Yeah, now Yasi laughing. So she's like, so you need to think of.
I don't think. Yeah, okay.
I think it's fair for somebody who doesn't.
I know you very well, so
yeah,
it's different.
And you also, again, you're growth minded. Like, if you didn't like advice, I think you wouldn't love me as a sister-in-law. So I'm always just like, let's talk about X, Y, Z. So anyway, so this is to go back to, I don't know what this related to. Anyway, so she said, get started on TikTok.
Yeah.
Don't be afraid of the numbers.
I think we shared more like nitty-gritty pieces of the journey in the last one, because I was also just starting out. Like, I feel like this is more about like community, and then I feel like I shared a lot of like random little tips and tricks that I had in the first episode.
Right, I think so too. So you should go back and listen.
Go to listen to that one. I think that's helpful.
And where can people find you?
You can find me on TikTok, Instagram, and YouTube. My TikTok is my full name, Yasamine.
Yep, that's right.
So I was like, does that how I spell my name?
Sounds right. It's also in the show notes.
Yeah, exactly. Durali. And then I'm on YouTube, same name. And then Instagram is YASDURALI.
That will be in the show notes.
Yeah, show notes. I'm everywhere else.
It'll be everywhere. This was an awesome episode.
I love making friends online. It's so fun. So come hang.
No, this is really fun, because I feel like I talk to a lot of people who maybe have been focused on something for a longer period of time. And the thing I love about you is, like you said, a year ago we talked and we were in a certain place. Now we're talking in a certain place. In a year from now, like we should do after the episode, we should talk about what we think will happen in a year from now and see if it matches up to where Yasi is in a year from now.
Do it. Thank you for having me.
No, this was a lot of fun. Thank you for coming on the show.
Thank you.
And thank you guys for listening. Until next week, inshallah.
Bye.